Here's a wild tour story from the early days of 112. We used to do meet and greets after the performance. And the way we were trained and artists developed early before our records came out was when it's time to go, we move. Because it's 4 of us, right? And so you stay in line, you move. Our security team and our team was very strict on us about that, making sure we move in a swift manner. And so this group of girls, they showed up like 5 minutes after we shut down the meet and greet. And they were just like, can we please, they were so adamant, can we please have an autograph? Can we please take a photo? And security wasn't having it, they was doing their job that they have been paid for. And we got on the tour bus, and the city that we were going to next had to have been about 5 or 6 hours. The girls were in their car, and they followed the tour bus the entire ride. They did get their photo, and they did get their picture, but it was like, their autograph, but it was like, yo, that's a dedicated fan to drive 5, 6 hours to get their autograph and to get their photo. Yeah, they're probably still fans now. One of the most special moments that I remember with Big is when we first signed the Bad Boy. And Puff had this way of micromanaging us, right? Now, when he signed us, he knew that we could write. He knew that Duran was a producer. We all were lead singers. He knew all of these things. But once we signed, it's like he was over our shoulders all the time. No, I don't like that. Try this. No, I don't like that. And we would do things and give it to him. Nah, try it again, right? It would frustrate us. And one day, Big came in the studio, and he could see that we were frustrated. He's like, yo, what's wrong, 12? I was like, man, Puff, he just on our necks, man. Like, we can't be as creative as we want to. He said, I bet. Puff came in the studio, and he said, hey, yo, Puff, you signed these boys because they dope, right? Puff was like, of course. He said, well, man, leave them alone. Give them the space to show you that they are as dope as you thought they were when you signed them. And so that's just something that I'll never forget. And then a second one was, as a new artist to Bad Boy, as they say, starving artists, you don't have a lot of money, right? We're surviving off of advance, which is probably gone at that time, but we're just living off of per diem, $245 a week, right? And every time we saw Big, man, he would ask us these 3 questions. Did y'all eat? Y'all got some money? Are y'all okay? And regardless of what we said, he would say, put that tab on my room. Give us $100. Every time he saw us, just give us $100. And because we were from the South, moving to New York, we had never experienced like an up north cold. And in '96 was the New York blizzard. So we coming from Atlanta, we damn near don't even have like a goose down. We don't own that, not in Atlanta. And so it was during the blizzard, and Big was like, hey, yo, somebody take them down to the village. And man, he bought us like these big goose down, because we was walking to the studio every day. And it was just stuff like that, man, that he made sure his little brothers were straight. And I just never forget that. And not to mention the ultimate blessing of introducing us to the world by giving us the 16 bars and Only You. The perfect alley-oop. My most memorable act, it wasn't words, but my most memorable act of the Notorious B.I.G. was, if you remember, he was in a car accident and his leg was injured. And so he's on a walker, or no, he was in a wheelchair. And we're in the studio. He had a show in Long Island. The entire studio went to the show. Man, we watched this dude rock whatever the venue was in a wheelchair. And this is before we had ever come out with a record or anything. And so our management and everybody around us was like, that's dedication. That's what you give to the crowd regardless. If you're going to show up and you grab that mic, you give them 150%. And to see him rock in a wheelchair, bruh, the crowd was going crazy. And that's something that I just never forget. When I pick up that microphone, man, you give it your all. The way he captivated the crowd as if he was walking around. And that's just something that I've taken with me as a performer, and I know the guys, we took that, and we would make mention of it often. Memorable moment with Faith is, and I'm laughing because signing to Bad Boy, we were the 5th artist to sign to Bad Boy. And so if you look at it as like the starting 5, Craig, Big, Total, Faith, and 112, right? And so when we moved to New York, we basically are just coming up there with nothing and to just start this career. And we were the little brothers of the label, the family, everybody. And so when we'd go into the office, all of the executives would make sure they made sure their little brothers were okay. Are y'all okay? Do y'all need something? Oh no, they can't go there. We're teenagers. No, so if everybody's going to the club, y'all can't go. So they really like protected and nurtured us, right? But Faith had like this big sister, little brothers type love for us that has carried all of these years. Man, Faith would come to our apartment and cook for us, knowing we didn't have any money. There's one time where I think when she and Big were having one of their spats, she actually came to live in our little small apartment with us. But that meant that we had food every night because she's an amazing cook. Yo, and then it's just like every time we asked Faith to be on a record of ours, she would do it. When she needed us on her record, we would do it. Like we built a great professional relationship, but also it's a sister brother type of vibe that has been stable like this present day. Like I could call Faye right now and say, "Hey sis, I need blah 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 blah." She's there. Oh, a great total memory of mine is writing the remix for "Kissing You." Raphael Sadiq did the original, and we had the opportunity to write the remix. Pam and I were born on the same day, same year. So we share March 24th, 1976. And so she and I have been able, we've stayed in contact all of these years. And it's just, when you ask me about the memories, understand like during that time, all of us released albums within probably months apart. And then we all leveraged each other to introduce the next. So you think about it, Big introduced Total on Can't You See? Big also helped nurture, push 112 out with Only You. Then the remix of Only You introduced Mace, right? And so that was kind of like the genius with Puffy, knowing how, okay, I can leverage one artist to introduce the next. And so when you talk about the Bad Boy family, that's essentially what it was, man. Like we really held each other down. We leveraged each other. We leaned on each other. We took care of each other. We protected each other. And that's still the same way today. Me and some of my closest friends are from Bad Boy. Carl, the Locks, Faye. Yeah. The day we lost Big, we were actually together at the Soul Train Awards. That night, 112, Keith Sweat, and Biggie, and I have to find out what category we announced, but we announced together. When the awards went to commercial break, we're in the wings. And so the producer is saying, hey, when we come from commercial break, you guys will go out and introduce the category, whatever. And so I just remember Big in the wing saying, yo, something don't feel right, man. I got to get out of here. Like, something don't feel right. But Big always said things like that. He was the jokester of the room. And so we go out, and we're back. Applause, 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 applause. They do the music, and here to announce the category for whatever. 112, Biggie Smalls, Keith Sweat. I can hear Big behind me in between his teeth like, yo, I gotta get the fuck up out of here. Like, whew, man. We do that. The award show is over. They go to the party. We have a show in North Carolina the next day, so we catch the red eye. As we're flying back across the country, this is when he was killed. When we land and check into our hotel, our two-ways pagers are going off. Blah, 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 Big has been shot. Big. And so it's like we were flying we land, get the news, and then have to perform with such a heavy heart of just losing our big brother, because I just told you what he meant to us, right? He made sure we were straight always. And so that was a very, very like down moment for me and my brothers, just having to live through that, and then having the opportunity asked by his mom, Mrs. Wallace, if we would perform at the homegoing ceremony. Yeah. We always knew, and we could tell that Biggie really, really like rocked with 112, because he made mention of 112 so many times in his records. And so like, even when I listened to that Life After Death album, and I listened to that album often, like he just kept my 112 CD blast, Room 112, man, he kept saying 112, and that's just an indication of just how he felt about us, because as a lyricist, he could pull words from anywhere, but for some reason, man, he wanted to just keep acknowledging his brothers, and that means a lot. The energy that was happening that night Biggie was killed during the awards, I can't say that I felt it, because I'm still a teenager. I don't really understand this East Coast, West Coast. I know what's going on, but I don't really know what's going on, because we just here to sing. Like, we don't do all of that. We just here to sing. So no, I can't say that I could feel it. When I play it back, I wish we had adhered to it. I wish that he hadn't gone to the party. That's what we did in those days. You have an award show and someone has an official after party. Everybody goes to the after party. During that time, there was I don't know if it was before or after Big's death. I probably would say after Big's death, the things heightened, right? And so Puff had this label-wide mandate that no bad boy artist could go over to the West Coast. But something interesting was happening in 112's career. The remix of Only You was picking up really, really massively on the West Coast. And as a new artist, you can't miss the moment of going where your record is getting support. And so we had a decision to make. Do we listen to Puff's mandate and risk losing our record, or do we go out and support our record and maybe just beef up security? Well, we chose the latter. And I do remember every time we went to LA, man, we had heightened security, increased security, LAPD officers to escort us around. I remember this one funny story. We were performing in this club in LA, and somebody just screamed out, "Suge Knight is in the building." Yo, we cut the short. We cut our show so short. I mean, we probably was like, oh, pew, we was out. The mentioning of Suge's name, man, just shut it. And then people would do like crazy stuff, like we'd be in the building and the DJ would play a Tupac record on purpose, or he would play Bad Boy Killers or something like that, when he flipped the Junior Mafia record. They would just do stuff intentional, like just to see if we would respond or if we would react. But I mean, we would say, man, we R&B dudes, like we don't really get that. I remember being on the West Coast. It wasn't even LA. I think it was like Seattle, Washington. And we had this regimen that anytime we got to a city, we would go to the mall to promote whatever we're doing with the flyers or whatever. And so we went to the mall, I want to say Seattle. And this goes to show you the influence that the music industry had. And people were starting to commit to the East Coast, West Coast. Had nothing to do with it, right? But I remember being in the mall, and it started out with about 2 or 3 girls following behind us. Then it turned into about 30 or 40 or whatever. Now the whole mall is watching 112 just go shopping or whatever. Mall security now has to come and try to investigate what's going on. But man, we got held up in the food court and had to like get police officers to come escort us out of the mall, because the local guys in the city, man, they were like, "West Side, yo, we'll kill y'all, and we like, really? And this shit is real, like it's serious." That was like the first time it was like real. Like the West Coast and the East Coast are really, really at odds, to the point where people that had nothing to do with it started assuming the position of, if I'm from the West Coast, I don't fool with y'all from the East Coast. And we saw that firsthand. Like I saw death in these dudes' eyes. Like they really wanted to hurt us. Like, bruh, we just sing. It's crazy. I think the record industry focus is to do what it was designed to do, which is sell records. And how do you sell records? By creating hot records, but also creating activities, activations around the release of records. And if a beef promotes or helps promotes a new release, that's what they were gonna do. So I don't blame them for doing that. They were just fulfilling their objective, which is to sell records. I just hate the fact that it just caught on. That one in particular caught on so crazily to where it ended in two of the probably the dopest MCs ever to lose their lives. We've seen other beef that hasn't gone that far, and so maybe the label got what they wanted. It increased the record sales and all of that, and the notoriety and the publicity of their artists, but it subsided after a while. I just hate that that one wasn't one that we could still talk about, and Big and Pac are still here to even talk about it themselves. What's up, y'all? I am Q Parker. Keep it right here, man. Check out. It's happening right here, 24/7 HH.